In 8th century India, Hindu philosopher Adi Shankara traveled across the subcontinent in search of a place to establish his school of philosophy. On one of his travels, he came across a unique sight, a spectacled cobra providing protection to a pregnant frog from the natural elements. Moved by this unique gesture of predator protecting its prey, Adi Shankara established the Sringeri Mutt and installed a stone sculpture called Kappe Shankara. But sadly, the values that Kappe Shankara stands for have been forgotten by most of the devotees who visit the temple. Frogs were once synonymous with monsoons in India, but now with lesser rainfall and rapidly depleting forests, they are beginning to disappear. Unplanned urbanization has disconnected us from our natural world. This leaves the task of maintaining a balance between the man made world and nature only to experts and biologists. Is it now impossible for the common man to explore, experience, and protect the environment?
ನಮ್ಮದು ಅನುಕಂಪಾದ್ರ ನೌಕರಿ 1980ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ ತೀರೋದ್ದು. ಆವಾಗ ನಾ ಸಣ್ಣ ಬಾಲೋಡಿ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮ ತನ್ನ ಮಗ್ಗೆ ಇರಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೆಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ನೌಕರಿ ಇಟ್ಟದ್ದು, ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತ ವಯಸ್ಕ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಸಿಗಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೆಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ. ನಮಗೆ ಈ ನೌಕರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೋ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಲಾಗಿತ್ತು ಕರೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಬೇರೆ ವಿಚಾರ ಇತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬರಲೇಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. 27 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೆ ನಾನು ಈ ನೌಕರಿಗೆ. 2000 ಇಸ್ವಿಗೆ ತಟ್ಟಿಹಳ್ಳ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮದು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗು. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಹಣೆ ಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ 27 ಜನರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದವ ನಾವೊಬ್ಬನೇ. ಆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇವನಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮರ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಥ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮರ ಕಂಡ್ರು ನಾಯಕ್ ಇದೇ ಮರ ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳ ಬೈವರು ನನಗೆ. ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ನೀವೊಬ್ಬನೇ, ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ನಿನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋಲ್ವಾ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಮಗೆ ಗಾಳಿ, ಸಾಗವಾನಿ, ಗ್ಯಾರ್ ಗಿಡ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಂಬುದಿಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲೇಬೇಕು, ಒಬ್ಬ ಗಾಡಿ ಕನಿಷ್ಠ 200 ಮರ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ನೇಮ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ರು. ಇದು ಉಪಯೋಗ ಬರೋ ಅನ್ನೋಂಗಾಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ. ಒಂದು 10-15 ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 200 ಮರಗಳ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ನೇಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಗಟ್ಟಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ, ಫುಲ್ ಗಟ್ಟಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ಕಡೆಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅದು ಹೇಳೋದು. ಯಾವುದೇ ಮರಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಕೋಸಮ್, ಶಿಲ್ಶರ ಟ್ರೈಜುಗ, ಸೆಪೆಂಡಿಸಿ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋಫೆರ್ ಇಂಡಿಕಾ, ಮತ್ತು ಗಾಳಿ ಕೆಜರಿನಿಕ್ಕಿ ಸಿಟಿಫೋಲಿಯಾ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂತ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಕನ್ಫರ್ಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತು ಉಂಟು. ಬಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವ ಮರ ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಮರದ ಹೆಸರು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡಿಗೆ ಬಂದಮೇಲೆ ಅಂಬಿಕನಾರ್ ಕುಡುಗಿರಿ ರೇಂಜು, ಅಂಬಿಕನಾರ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವಾಚ್ಮೆನ್ರು, ಗೌಳಿ ವಾಚ್ಮೆನ್ರು ಮತ್ತು ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ಸು, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ರು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಯಾವುದು ಮರ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇದು ಇಂಥದ್ದು ಇಂಥ ಮರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಎಸ್ ಇದು ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರಂಗ ಪೆಲ್ಟೆಟ ಅಥವಾ ಬುಚನಾನೆಯ ಲಂಜಾನ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಚಾರೆ ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು. ನಾನು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸರಿ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಡುಕಿ ಅದ್ರ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಬರೆದಿಟ್ಕೊಬಿಡೋದು. ಇದು ಇಂಥ ಮರ ಅಂತ.
ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹಳದಿ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ನಮ್ಮನೆ ಹತ್ತೆ ನೀ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಇತ್ತು.
ಹೌದಾ, ಹೋಗುವ ಅಲ್ಲೇ. ನಾನು ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ತಗೋತಿ, ಹಂಗೆ ಪ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಹಾಕೋತಿ. ಹೋಗುವ. ಬಂದೆ. ಕಪ್ಪೆ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಓದಿರ್ತವೆ, ಮಳೆಗಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ, ಕಿರಿಕಿರಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇದೇ ತೇರಿಲಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು. 2008ರಲ್ಲಿ ಗುರುರಾಜ್, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೆ ವಿ ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದರು ಕುಳಿಗಿ. ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳಿಗೊಂದು ಚಂದ ಹೆಸರು ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತದ ಅವಾಗೇ ನಮಗೆ. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲನೂ ಒಂದೇ, ಕಪ್ಪೆನೇ ಒಂದೇ ಮಾಡೋದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ. ಸೊ ಆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಳೀತು. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿವಸ ನಾವು ಡೆಪ್ಯುಟೇಷನ್ನಾಗೆ ಊರು ಸೈಡ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಇದೇ ಹುಚ್ಚಲ್ಲ, ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸಂಜೆ 7 ಗಂಟೆಯಿಂದ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗದ್ದೆ ಬಯಲಿಗೆ 9:30 10 ಗಂಟೆ ಮನೆ ಬರೋದು. ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಬೈತಿರು, ಏನತ್ತಮ್ಮ ಇದು, ಏನು ಮಳ್ಳ, ನಮ್ಮದಿಗೆ ಹುಚ್ಚ ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೆಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ, ಏನಿದು ಮಳ್ಳು ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ, ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಫೋಟೋಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ನನಗೆ ವೋಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಫೋಟೋ ಮಾಡೋ ಹುಚ್ಚು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ. ಸೌಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಫೋಟೋ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಫೋಟೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸೌಂಡು ಭಾಳ ವಿಚಿತ್ರ ಅನ್ಸ್ತು ನನಗೆ. ನಿಜ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ 1 ವಾರ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಆ ಫೋಟೋ ತಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಏನು ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸೌಂಡು ನಮ್ಮದು ಈ ಮಿಂಚುಳ್ಳಿ, ಬಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರಿಗೂ. ಕಳಿಸ್ದೆ ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಜೋಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ರು, ನಾಯ್ಕ್ ಏನು ವೈಟ್ ಥ್ರೋಟೆಡ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಿಶರ್ದು ಕಾಲ್ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಕಪ್ಪೆದಂತೀಯ ಅಂತ. ನನಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕಳಿಸ್ದೆ, ಫೋಟೋ ವಿಡಿಯೋ. ನೀವು ಯಾವುದಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರಿ ಕೇಳಿ ಸರ್. ನನಗದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಕಿಟ್ರಿಂಗ್, ನಾನು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಹಾರೋ ಸ್ಟೈಲು, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈನೋಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟಿಸ್, ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಪ್ಟಿಸ್ ಸೈನೋಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟಿಸ್ ಉಂಟಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಮನ್ ಸ್ಕಿಟ್ರಿ ಫ್ರಾಗು, ಅದೇ ಶೇಪಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಪುಸ್ತಕನ ಮುಳುಗ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ಓಕೆ ನಾಯ್ಕ, ನೋಡುವ. ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕ್ಯೂರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಗೋಕರ್ಣದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾವನ ವಿದ್ಯಾಧರ್ ಗೌಡ ಅಂತಿದ್ದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾವನ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಅವರು ಅಪ್ರೂವ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮೂರಿಗೆ. ಹೋಗಿ ಕೂತಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಬಂತು. ನಾಯಕ್ ಕಂಗ್ರಾನ್ಸ್, ನ್ಯೂ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಅಂದರು. ಫುಲ್ಲು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗೋಂಥರ, ಅದು ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿರ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಈಗ ಬರೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಂಥರ ಭಾಳ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು. ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಹತ್ರ ಇದ್ದೆ, ಗೋಕರ್ಣ ಬೀಚ್ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಇದೆ, ಉಮಾಮಹೇಶ್ವರ ಅಂತ, ಮೇಲೆ ಜಟಾಯಿ ತೀರ್ಥ ಅಂತಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ವಿಷಯ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ಅವ್ರು ಒಂಥರ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಬಾವ, ಹೊಸ ಸ್ಪೀಶ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಖುಷಿಪಟ್ಟರು. ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ, ಒಂದು ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಯಿತು. ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಅಂದ ಕೂಡ ಒಂಥರ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಖುಷಿ, ಅದಂತೂ ಫೀಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Traditionally, frog legs was a protein supplement for the poor people because they couldn't afford chicken. But today, with chicken being affordable, it's no longer the case. The people who are coming for frog legs now are the city people, the rich people, who are coming to eat some exotic meat. People from out of state, they've heard that in Goa you get this extraordinary thing called frog legs. So can we have not 1 plate but 5 plates? And 5 plates means you have killed about 40-50 frogs already just by eating 5 plates. Very often what they do is they will just grab the frog, cut the legs off and leave the frog, and the frog will not die instantly. It will jump and crawl and crawl and crawl away with its front hind legs and basically die of loss of blood. So the first time I went to the forest department, I met the DCF, Mr. Devendra Dalai. This was 2006. And in 2006, I asked him if frogs were protected, and he said yes. So I said, so if that is the case, I've seen frog poachers catching frogs. How many people have you all caught? And his response was, nobody. So I said, why? And he says, we don't have any information about where they are catching frogs. So I said, okay, one thing is, I will give you information. How can you help us back in return? So he said, in return, I will give you posters that we have printed, but we don't know what to do with it. So he had about, I think, 5,000 posters, of which we took about 4,500. And we distributed 4,500 posters in that same month across the state. So he was very happy that he was able to get that kind of penetration through us. When I say us, I'm talking of these 10 NGOs together. The first few years we informed a lot of people, and we found that most of the people are completely unaware, which is why we built a lot of awareness material. We created websites, we announced on the radio, we announced on the local television, we stood at bus stands and gave out handouts of information.
Goa Can observed Save the Frog Day on 30th of April. Roland Martins of Goa Can emphasized on an urgent need to save frogs to maintain the eco-balance of the state as well as the nation. Goa Can also expressed its concern over speedy extinction of frogs in Goa. Frogs are very vital in minimizing mosquitoes responsible for malaria and other vector-borne diseases.
The restaurants don't serve to unknown clients, they will only serve to known clients. They don't stock the frogs in their restaurant, they will stock it at a second location or at their homes. So in this particular case, we knew that the frogs were at the restaurant owner's home. So armed with a search warrant with a team, we raided the place. And when we checked, we found a whole barrel of about 40 to 50 frogs, live frogs. So the forest department immediately proceeded to attaching the evidence. We took pictures, we counted the number of live frogs, and as the Panchanama was going on, we received a call from a local politician. And the politician basically was telling the forest officer not to proceed with the investigation. So again, these are the instances where political interference dissuades the forest officers from continuing this kind of work. It kind of acts as a deterrent. The next time the forest officer is less interested in prosecuting restaurants, because you go so far and at the last stage the politician comes and the whole case is washed away. And 2011 onwards, I would say we've taken the back seat. We've not done too much. The forest department has done that in place of us. So where we have not gone and done awareness, the forest department has done that. Where we have not done forced for patrolling, the forest department has done it on its own. So 2011 to 12 onwards, we've realized that there is very little that we need to do. And so we do very little in that sense.
रमाकांत फॉरेस्टर आवाज येता रमाकांत फॉरेस्टर
हां सर
आत्ता हाजर आर्लेमा कडेन बॅटरी घेऊन कितें तरी फ्रॉक्स धरता म्हणून एक कंप्लेंट येयल्ली आसा
बरें सर ओके सर हॅलो
नुसते सर ते नुसते दाखव सर नुसते सर दाखव बेब मरे ना होबा ना कायद्या प्रमाणे धरून जाय ना आता येले सर सर काय बट सर ना सर सर प्लीज सर एक फाटी सोड सर तोंड बंद दोन सर प्लीज सर एक ना 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 सर ऐक पारा अंके नाही सर माझे पैसे सर प्लीज सर पैसे लागी द्या रे
ಕಪ್ಪಿ ಒದ್ರೋದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಾ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಒದರ್ತೀವಿ ಅದು ಒದ್ರೋದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕಪ್ಪಿ ಒದ್ರೋದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗುಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೊಟ್ರ ಅಂತಿದ್ದದ ಯಾಕೆ ಒದರ್ತಿದ್ದ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಒದರ್ತಿದ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಒದರ್ತದೆ ಅವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಒಂದು ಮೇಜರ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳದು ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ ತಿಂತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮುಖದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗಾಗ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಹೆಣ್ಣುಮಕ್ಕಳೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂಥರ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ವೀಡಿಯೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಇಂಥ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ತಿಂತಾರೆ ಸರ್ ತಿಂತಾರೆ ಮರಿ ಇವು ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ ಇವು ಇದ್ದರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಂದ ಬರೋದು ಸರ್ ನಮ್ಮೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರು ಇಲ್ಲ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ನಮ್ಮೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಬಂದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕಾಲು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾಲು ಒಂದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರೆಲ್ಲೂ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ದೊಡ್ಡ ರ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಇದೆ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವೇನೋ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟುಬಿಡ್ತೇವೆ ಬಟ್ ಡೀಪಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಫುಲ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತವೆ ಗೋವಾ ಸೈಡಿಗೆ. ಈ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಎಂಬ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ನಾಪತ್ತೆ ಆಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಬೇಕು, ರೋಡ್ ಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲನೂ ಬೇಕು. ಕೆರೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಕೆರೆ ಪಕ್ಕನೇ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಟ್ಟುವ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ, ಕೆರೆ ಪಕ್ಕನೇ ಹೈವೇ ಮಾಡುವ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕಪ್ಪೆಗೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹೊಡೆತ, ಮಾತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಕರಾವಳಿನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಈಗ ನೋಡಿವಿ ನಾವು ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ, ಇದೇ ಟೈಪ್ ಅದರ ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ಯಾಟಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಕರಾವಳಿನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕಪ್ಪಿನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಂದರೆ ಕರೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗೇನು ಹೊಸದೊಂದೊಂದು ಕಂಡು ಹಿಡಿತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಹೆಸರು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋಕೆ ಅಂತ ಮೊದಲೇ ನಾಪತ್ತೆ ಆದ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜಾತಿ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸು ಇರ್ಬೋದು.
Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the short film as much as I did. I found it to be short but yet very powerful and beautiful the way they show about this small frog species in the Western Ghats. It was astonishing to realize that it's a discovery that's been made so recent as 2008, the 21st century, which kind of tells us that, like Mr. Naik so wisely said, that we're just even now discovering species, which tells us how little we know of the biodiversity around us, and also which kind of should be of concern because they might very well be species that move on to extinction even before we have actually even discovered them. And I think that's the storyline. And we saw Clinton was from Goa talking about the bullfrogs and how a trade like a gourmet and an exotic meat trade can actually propel these things out of proportions and at times when it is not even relevant and the context is not even the same as it was before, like you said, for protein substitutes. Thanks to Pradeep and Dheeraj for this beautifully made and very cutely named movie. I like the title, The Last Hop, the typical hop of the frog. We hope it is not the last hop, but we hope there is hope for them in the future. And with this, I think we can open up the forum for questions. I request I think the participants have the freedom to unmute themselves if they want to ask a question, and you can ask the question. Dheeraj, Pradeep is in field, and therefore he's not able to join us. But Dheeraj is here with us. So they come from a background of Dheeraj comes from a business administration, and Pradeep comes from a engineering background. But that's not stopped them in following their passion for wildlife or conservation, as we can see in the film. And they are avid filmmakers. They've worked with Nat Geo, and a bunch of other wildlife organizations and agencies that work towards conservation. Dheeraj, if you would like to kind of say a few words about the making of the movie, the inspiration behind it, and I definitely need to ask, how did you get to frogs? Because they're so small, so unknown, and people don't even like bother about them. And how did it inspire you? A few words from you on that front, and then maybe we can take on a few questions.
Yeah, hi. First thing, I would like to say that Nayak would like to send his regards to all of you. He's currently inside the forest, so he couldn't make it to this. I asked him, but he's on
Oh,
his duty.
yeah, I think you mentioned you tried to get
Yeah, yeah,
Nayak
yeah.
in, and I think he was one of those inspirational department folks that you see,
Ex-
who are so true to their profession and job with such passion that it's inspiring and heartening.
Exactly. He asked me to invite all of you to Kali Tiger Reserve.
There you
Uh,
go, folks. All of you
and
have an invite from Nayak, but on the condition that you go and see the caravan skipping frog, right?
yes. So he's asked everyone to come in the monsoon because that's when the forest is at its best, and even that's when even he is at his best. It seems.
Yes, please. Thank continue.
Yeah. With regard to the frogs, basically, we've been working on we've been shooting wildlife films for quite some time, but it's always with the charismatic species, the tigers, elephants, and all of it. And we were in Pradeep's house in Sirsi, to be honest. He has a small arecanut plantation there, and we saw this jogue night frog, and it was calling, and its call is just like a cat. And I asked Pradeep, where is this call coming from? I mean, this sounds like a cat. Do you have so many cats? And he's like, no, no, this is a frog. And I'm like, wow, because growing up in Bangalore for like nearly 3 decades, I had never heard of a frog like that. And I've never seen also a frog like that. And after that, we just sitting at his house discussing. That's when we realized that, these are the kind of species that we should do films on. And we just started researching online, and to our surprise, we found that there were new species being discovered till 2016, 2015, and all of it. I'm like, wow. So that's when we thought we'll try to document the story of a new species being discovered, because we couldn't fathom the fact that there's still new species being discovered, and we're just like 100 kilometers from there, and we don't know about it. And another very interesting aspect was that I come from Manipal. Manipal is my hometown. There's this place called Endpoint where most people in Manipal go. They just go there, relax in the evening. So they go for their morning jog, morning walks, all of it. And as recently as 2014, they discovered a new species of frogs there. And it's a place where thousands of people go, and nobody knew about it.
So that's when we thought we definitely have to do this film. And we crowdfunded thanks to friends, family, Facebook, and a lot of people we didn't know just gave us the fund to go about and do this film. And of course, a lot of friends gave us our equipment. And yeah, it took us about 3 years and about half a year to edit and finally came up this film.
That's fascinating. I mean, that kind of talks about your passion. And yes, I was really fascinated by these calls that these frogs make. Like you said, the skittering calls like a kingfisher, and you say the joke-night frog calls like a cat. It's like it's a whole world of mimics out there that we just don't know about.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we like you said, we think all frogs are the same. They all make the same kind of vocalizations. But they are so unique and so key to the identification of an individual species as well. I understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had like 3, 4 other species actually to film, but we just couldn't find them, to be honest. They were inside. There's one particular frog that just lived its life inside inside a bamboo tree, and we never found it. So yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yes. If any of our participants have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and pose. You can pose a question to Dheeraj, who is here with us. He's kindly accepted to join us.
Hello, Dinaz here. Can I ask a simple question?
Please go ahead.
While making the film, Neeraj, let us know 2 interesting facts about frogs that you didn't know, because I'm also in your, as I was in your category, an urban person.
I have a very funny answer to that. The thing is, I honestly didn't know that frogs come in various colors. I always thought they were just brown frogs.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, we filmed this Kumbara night frog, and so this frog, it's usually found in these Myristica forests and in these streams and of the Western Ghats, the smaller streams, not the bigger ones. The once the female lays its egg, the Kumbara night frog, the male of the Kumbara night frog, it the it pulls out mud from the stream and it packs the eggs and guards it. And that's why the name Kumbara. Like a potter, it uses the mud, packs all its eggs, and keeps it safe. And the male spends all its entire time next to the eggs till the tadpoles come out. And I was fascinated by this.
Yeah, that's a very sweet story. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Indeed, yeah. I was also not aware that the males take such active participation in, taking care of the eggs, and that's really interesting. And we are always
yeah,
learning, and it kind of tells us how ignorant we are of so many species around us.
exactly.
Yes, please.
And, and I hear frogs from early evening to very late at night in the garden. What are their habits really in terms of lifestyle?
I think it varies from from species to species. So I think they basically, yeah, they come out at night and the evening, but during the mating season you tend to see a lot of these species active throughout the day also.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Dinas, for those interesting questions. Like you said, if some of us don't ask, the rest of us don't know.
But I must also congratulate the team who made the film, because they gave such a human dimension to the whole concept. I mean, just to show highways where they make crossings, and this whole exotic meat ban in Goa. I mean, it was, as you said, it was a wonderfully conceptualized little clip that has left me feeling so close to the frogs in my garden. Actually, I didn't have a relationship to them earlier. I'm feeling a little nicer about it now.
Oh, I think then our job is done with this film. I think Dheeraj and Pradeep will agree that if you have found it connect stronger with the frogs in your backyard, and then our work is done, at least to begin with.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, we had a really good team, the editor and the music composer, and we actually, after the film, we became close friends, and hopefully we'll be working together again. I think that's how. And with respect to the highway crossing thing, we had heard about this quite a lot. I mean, from friends, people who uh, are in places close to Western Ghats, like coffee estate owners or Arakanat estate owners, all of them, they had mentioned on and off that sometimes nobody knew when they used to see this huge influx of frogs on the road and the vehicles just going all over them. And that's something that we wanted to film. We had alerted all our contacts, but we'd never gotten about to film them. The number was just not there. This was in 2016, 2017. Also, we didn't get 2018, and that's when we had decided that we're not going to get this, and we'll be done with the shoot. We'd just gone for one last shot of Nayaks on the field, and that's when we thought we'll go to another location to shoot one particular scene of Nayak, and that's it. We're done. And on the way, that is when this was like early morning. This was at about 7:30, and we saw this site. There were like thousands of them. It was like an army of frogs, and
Wow.
this was a proper national highway. It was on the road from this was going towards Honavar from Sirsi. Yeah, this is Sirsi Honavar road, and they were full of them. So what happened was, on the right side there was a lake, and on the left side it goes to some particular mountain, and all of these were males that were crossing the road and traveling, maybe in search of a mate. We don't know, so we're not sure why they do it. After that, we did try. We approached the forest department. We spoke to them about trying to do something about this, but the forest department told us that although they did send someone to go check on the spot and all of it and ask the locals as to if this happens every year, they did tell that since it's a national highway, it belongs to the NHAI, and they're the authorized people. And when you spoke to NHAI, they told a hump for 4 days of crossing and is not feasible, because the rest of the year it will be slowing down traffic. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know what to do next. Yeah, but we have
Like
tried to show it.
we have elephant corridors, maybe a signboard, because if they use the same path every year or twice a year, there could be a board on the road for all of us to read: frog crossing corridor. That's all.
Yeah,
And big.
yeah. We we spoke about the signboard also. It seems the animal related signboard the forest department can't put because it's not under their territory, and the NHAI, they don't care.
Welcome to the world of bureaucracy between government organizations, departments, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
both of them showed interest. They did show a lot of interest, but they just passed the buck.
exactly. And that's where I think the challenge lies with all these, like you said, looking out for solutions. Like Dina said, there are some ways, and like you said, you need people like Nayak who do it out there on the ground,
Yeah,
and that's just possible wherever he is working out of. And we need similar foot soldiers everywhere. But in the absence
yeah,
of that, you are just running around in circles around these through protocols, processes, regulations. Who will do it? Whose responsibility? Whose jurisdiction, etc.
exactly.
Thanks, Dinas. I think we had a question from Sushma. So if we could just take that, and Dinas, we'll come back to you if you have more. Please keep them.
I'm through. I'm through.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. This is Sushma here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Sushma, I can hear you.
Hi, Dheeraj. So I really like the film.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the effort, and it's been really great. So yeah, it's been like maybe slightly more than a year since you released the film, and maybe slightly before that you started working on it. So now, like maybe months later, years or 2 or 3 years later, what's the current status of frog poaching in Goa? And also, is this rampant in other places in India as well?
Frog poaching in Goa has come down drastically because of Clinton and all the other citizens of Goa who have involved themselves in this. It's come down so much that right now they're not involving themselves. It's just the forest department who goes out and does their work, and that's about it. There definitely is there is about 20% of poaching still, but it's only between people who they know and they trust. Like Pradeep and myself, we had actually taken out a small. I have it right in front of me, a small pen camera, and went about asking for frog meat, but people were ready to give us all sorts of things other than frog meat. The minute we told frog meat, they used to run. So that certainly shows that yeah, it's something that they're scared of. And what is the other question? Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how, like, is this also occurring in other parts of India?
Oh yeah. Definitely Nagaland has quite a bit of. I mean, it's in the tradition to consume frogs and insects and other things. I just heard today that it was prevalent in West Bengal, but they're not seeing it much now. So yeah, Kerala does have some. Sometimes it is sold in small push carts and things like that, but definitely nothing on a scale like Goa. This is in India. Of course, in France and all, it's still a massive delicacy that people enjoy.
Right. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dheeraj.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a very important question to know current status and like you said, how prevalent, how rampant. What are the circumstances? Like in some places it's traditional, like you said in Nagaland, it's tradition.
Correct.
But
In
some places,
Nagaland, you go
yeah,
in the markets; they're all there. It's not just frogs. There are so many insects. There are
exactly. So there's a different
Muslims.
cultural connotations there.
Yeah,
But in
exactly. Yeah,
but in some places, like you said, where it's people from the metropolis metros who are coming in, that's no longer culture, but like you said, a gourmet delicacy, trending
correct.
thing. Yeah,
And it gets very unsustainable very fast.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's I think important to keep in mind. Like it's not the same everywhere, and to be but mindful of why you're doing what and where it should needs to be having more stronger curves and where it's possible, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions from any of our participants? Dinaz, I see you've unmuted yourself. Did you have a question?
Hi, sorry, I was away a little bit.
Sure. So did you have a question? I saw that you were unmuted yourself. Did you have a question to ask?
No, I'll listen to the others. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, I had a question for Dheeraj. So I think this story for me is heartening in many ways because for me, the success stories of this from Goa or from your Kulgi and from your Dandeli area is about how the department has been able to swing into action and do the job that you say started off with NGOs and then its department has been able to carry it forward. So what are your experiences and learnings from that we could try elsewhere where we might not find or we are struggling to figure out the department to take such ownership and continue it further? Do you have any learnings from those landscapes that you can share with us?
I think a lot has to do with the mindset of the officers also, to be honest. Sometimes it's just things falling into place with the officers and the people coming together. But nowadays I see that a lot of officers appreciate on ground action. It just takes a lot more effort to just get through that. It's a very varying factor.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah. I
like for
understand.
example, for the same film, we'd applied for permission to film. There's one particular shot of one green color frog, which is the indigo bush frog. We had actually planned to shoot the story of its discovery also, but we couldn't get around doing it. This is a beautiful green frog which is found on the peak of Kudremukh National Park, on the Kudremukh peak itself, in the Shola grasslands. And we wanted to film that, and the then PCCF, he refused to give us permission because he thought we want to film tigers and not frogs, because nobody in their right mind would film frogs. So yeah, I mean, after that, I mean, we went to the DFO and all of it, and then he readily gave us permission. He asked us to go up and go in the night, camp, and do it. And luckily, we got it. We were just there for one night for that one particular frog.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think we have to approach different strategy, apply different strategies in different locations
to
with different personnel.
different locations. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
I think, yeah, but only common factor is perseverance.
Absolutely, from both
Yeah,
sides. I think from sides of our side also and their side.
Yes.
Yeah? The belief to
Sometimes
keep
I
going.
get tired of seeing our faces and waiting there.
Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, go out and
basically
do your job.
wear them down by just being there.
Yeah. Being there. Yes.
Thanks, Dheeraj. I think Dinas wanted to ask one more. Yes, please go ahead, Dinas.
Last question, Dheeraj. You
Yes.
have spent so much time in your mind and in your heart looking at frogs. I would be interested in knowing if you had to use 2 words or 2 adjectives that you think apply to frogs and their behavior, what would they be?
Confusing.
Okay. You mean frogs are confusing?
Frogs are, they confuse you very much as a filmmaker, because they're just not predictable. With a tiger, you know what direction they're going to come from, what direction they might go, what their tiger, even an elephant, actually, what their routine is. But with frogs, you just can't predict that. You just have to wait, and they're there, or they disappear. Like one torrential rain and they're not there. There's nothing. You don't know where they go. People say they bury themselves underground. People say they move into the forest, and each frog has different behavior. So it's very confusing. Like the same place with the road crossing. Next year, Nayak went. There's nothing. There's no sign of a frog. So it is. They are very difficult, but when they're there, they're super interesting.
Yeah.
They're entertaining you throughout the night.
It's a very active nightlife, I would say.
Very active night.
Of the better kind. Yeah.
Of the better, but only for 2 months a year. After that, they disappear.
Yes, but what you said and that question, that I think Dina's question was very good, and what you responded was very insightful. This fact that they're so unpredictable kind of tells us how much of a challenge we have ahead, right? Knowing and understanding their behavior. Even if you want to attempt any kind of measures in conservation, there's so little we know.
So little, yes.
Yeah. So which
Like,
should be a wake-up call.
Pradeep had a project where he had to film the same bullfrogs, which you see everywhere. They turn yellow in their during their mating season. He has spent, especially in the first rain, just before the monsoon, and he spent 2 years trying to get them to shoot them become yellow. But it was absolutely difficult because it's so unpredictable, and it's all done in a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're super bright yellow. They're so yellow. I mean, you can't believe the whole pond will be yellow, and they'll be wrestling with each other. They'll be kicking each other. There'll be 3 males on 1 female. All of this action happens, and then you go back the next day. You never know any of this was happening the previous day. Yeah, it is.
I think they hold the secrets close to their heart.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for all of that. Very useful information. Is there any other question from any of our participants? We have time for a couple more before we close. So I know I have a couple. So I would like to give the opportunity to some of our participants to ask if they had any. Okay, so then I'll go. So I had actually two questions for you, Dheeraj. One is that, like Sushma was saying, so going forward from here, based on this, is there any plan to do some more ecological habitat vulnerability studies of the frogs that you talked about, be it the Kumbara one or the skittering frog, the Karavali skittering one? What is there any plan from here on to do some efforts to understand? Because I know the Karavali is restricted in geographic extent also, right? And that kind of makes it even more of concern. And the other question is, we are based out of the Nilgiris, which is also the land of the monsoons and the west ghats. And so, when is your team planning to come and take a look at our frogs?
For the first question, Nayak plans to continue his Karavali studies this year. Last year, he couldn't go about doing it because of, considering that he's a deputy RFO, he has some shortage with respect to funding and equipment and stuff like that. So he will be doing it this year, Karavali skittering frog. And with respect to the Nilgiris, I actually should be coming to the Nilgiris, but not for frogs, but I will be coming for butterflies.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and it's great to know that Nayak is going to be continuing on studying the Karavali skittering frog. Yeah,
Yes.
and there's one other question which I had, which you mentioned, right? You kind of mentioned this other aspect of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding for your project. I think that's also something which is very useful and insightful, an experience and learning for others who are struggling, the people who have passion, but like you said, deprived of funds or shortage of funds. So, do you have any words for somebody like that who know like how to go about, if they have a passion, if they have the interest, if they have the willingness and the effort to put in, but perhaps just don't have the access to funds?
Yeah, I think crowdfunding was the main driver for this film. What we did was, just before we even started the film, we did a very short, small edit with the footage that we had and footage that we pulled off the internet, and we sent it to friends and family. And we managed to raise about 1 lakh through just friends and family. And this was not even on a crowdfunding platform; it was just through email. And we just put our bank account details, and people just transferred. And after that, we had some really good friends who gave us their cameras, and who we equally badgered them whenever they're free. We literally used to uh, sort of track their shoot schedules, and depending on their shoot schedules, we used to borrow the camera and go out and shoot. So and even with respect, and after that, after we were done with the shoot, again with respect to post production, we is where a lot of money goes in. And that is where we actually put it out on a crowdfunding platform. We made another video with the footage that we shot, not the previous footage pulled off the internet, but the footage that we actually shot. And that trailer was quite powerful, because we ended it with a shot wherein the car goes past and a frog just jumps off the road. And I think that hit the right chords with viewers on Facebook. And what was it then? Yeah, it was Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, email is what we basically use, and of course the crowdfunding platform. And we also badgered a lot of people to share it for us. A lot of people, we literally, yeah, beg them to share it. And it's definitely possible for an amount of about, anywhere between 3 to 5 lakhs for a short film. You can definitely crowdfund.
I think that's very useful information for
It
many
is.
who are actually enterprising, entrepreneurial, want to do it, but kind of not figuring out how to get, like you said, the equipment, the post processing, editing, and all of that. Thanks so
Yes.
much.
And equipment, to be honest, is you can very easily source it, because there's always equipment lying around in people's houses. And you have a lot of wildlife photographers who have day jobs, who go out only on weekends. So you just have to coordinate with them.
Right. Yes. Agreed. I think that's useful information. If
Yes.
we do not have any other questions from others, I think I would like to conclude with a few words. Is there anybody else who would like to take say the last word? No. Okay. So then I would, on behalf of the Indian National History Society, I do thank Dheeraj and Pradeep and the team for having made such a wonderful film. And for all of your information, they have also kindly put it out on public access. So the film is available on YouTube for those of you who want to share it in your circles and watch it again. You may not have this time with Dheeraj or Pradeep that we had today out there, but you can still watch the movie and do share it, do spread the word about frogs and about the western ghats and about species like that that need more studies, more funding, more support, all of that. And yes, Dheeraj, thank you so much for taking the time out. I hope to see you guys when you're in the Nilgiris. And for all our
Yes.
participants, thanks for making the time out on a Saturday. I know it's not easy, it's a weekend, but thanks for doing it. And yeah, we will come back with more such events in the year, given that COVID time seems to be continuing to linger on with uncertainties all across. So yeah, so we will definitely be coming forward, and we look forward to more such documentaries from your side. We wish you the very best, Dheeraj, you and the team.
Thank you so much for giving me this platform, and I hope everyone enjoyed the film. And of course, it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, on all the platforms we've put it out. And you can share it with schools, colleges, universities, anyone and everyone.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a great thing that you've done, keeping it open access so that we can show it to children, spread the word, build awareness and conservation around it. Yeah? Thanks,
Yeah.
one and all. And we'll close for the day. Thanks for your patient hearing. Thank you.